Steam Next Fest June 2026 was just upon us and... oh no. Hey, come here. I know it's been said, but I'm going to say it again. Making games is hard. Making art is hard. Putting yourself and your work out there open to criticism is hard. Keep it human, keep it yours, and keep making it, no matter what some weirdo on the internet might say. I've compiled 15 horror demos from the event for you this time, including the good, the not so good, and the... You know what, I'm gonna leave this in. I literally choked as I was trying to say, and the no thanks, I'm not playing this unoptimized nightmare. These are split into 4 categories. Yes, please. On the fence. Not for me, but maybe for you. And no thanks. And as always, reviews involve opinions, and you are technically allowed to disagree with me in the comments below. You can also leave nice comments, those are also welcome. Yes! Yes! Foghorns Drown. An odd duck of a game with a bleak backdrop, full of hints about a place called the Citadel and a war now over. You are a ferryman who provides passage across the lake in a place constantly shrouded in fog. Hence the foghorns, which are, as you discover, annoying the hell out of some residents. You're having odd visions, there's talk of old tolls to be paid, and an illness reminiscent of something called the Scourge. I think there may be something interesting lurking in here. You only get a taste of it in the demo. The mechanics are pretty simple to suss out, except for one. I did not realize immediately that I needed to actually lift the mouse cursor to mimic chopping wood instead of just clicking when the icon popped up like I did for everything else. While I don't love manually turning the wheel on the ferry, it's smooth, responsive, and the game knows when to go ahead and fade out and let us arrive at the other side. I'm curious to see where the narrative goes on this one and find out why giant fish are talking to me when no one else is looking. Lily's World. I love a good fake OS game. They so often just drop you in and let you go. Have fun, poke around, get creeped out. I've been excited about this one since it was announced. I love that they have some streamer/YouTuber options for privacy as well. Heads up, this one does involve potential triggers, and they do have a website that goes into them in more detail. I'm sure you can make an educated guess about some of them. On the surface, we're exploring a laptop that used to belong to a depressed teenage girl with serious self-image issues. Very quickly, however, we suss out that something truly nefarious may have happened to Lily. We, the stranger who stumbled on her laptop, reach out to her old friends, and maybe together we can find out what happened and even do something about it. Very excited for the full release. I have to mention, I'm also excited that Lily is not a quote-unquote sad white girl, and I say this as a white AFAB who grew up super depressed with body image issues. Support more diverse stories in horror and beyond, regardless of whether or not you can personally relate to them. Meaningless random numbers. I honestly had no idea if I would like this one or not. But the trailer had me and my friends doing this. Listen to this bop. Once I got a flow going, dare I say I got it. You've got random dice rolls meets poker hands meets various types of multipliers and potential debuffs. Get your number boxes first, that's my advice. Your goal is to boost yourself as much as possible before the deadline, when the devil wants their due. Pay it early, and you get boosted. When the number gets too high to tackle in the amount of time given, time to prestige and gain permanent buffs. And yes, before you ask, I did get to experience the God is watching screen several times. I think I prestiged maybe 5 times? I can't say that I managed to reach the dopamine heights of a good Balatro run yet, but I was jamming and jiving by the time I stopped playing. Retro Space. This game has a wonderful polish to it. Dark comedy sci-fi with shades of System Shock in its gameplay. We're a janitor and things are not going well at work here in outer space. Environmental storytelling, audio logs. The visual style is very 50s sci-fi meets a more mod-feeling 60s, 70s kind of stuff. They use the term disco punk to describe themselves. I hope we get even more set dressing as we go along. I like what I see, I want more of it. One of the interesting things about the gameplay that I haven't mentioned yet is that there's a corpse run. When you die, you respawn at the nearest first aid station / clone creation tube thing, and then you make your way back to your previous body and absorb its genes. Why do you need to absorb these? Well, cloning isn't perfect. Each time you die, you're hit with a randomized, well, let's call them debuffs, at least until you're able to absorb your old genes. I personally experienced the flu, cybophobia, and schizophrenia. Don't love that last one. I get it, you wanted something that would give the janitor hallucinations. May I suggest sleep deprivation? Sleep deficit can give you very real, very scary hallucinations in a relatively short amount of time that you can see and hear, and it'd cover the basis for what you're using schizophrenia for in this context. Overall, I'm excited to see how this one unfolds, though I was terrible at combat, admittedly, and will probably be picking easy mode. No shame. Welcome to Elderfield. First off, let's talk options. I've got nice things to say this time, I promise. Look at all these font choices for starters. You can find one that suits you and your needs. Then comes the difficulty settings. Look how much detail they give. Much appreciated for a game like this. I was expecting more purely creepy farm sim, but that's only one component here. It's almost more like Creepy Rune Factory meets turn-based RPG, if that makes sense. Obviously, Horror Stardew is definitely another comparison people have made. I was kind of on the fence about the art style at first, but it really works well to establish this game's offbeat vibes. There's cultists, sad girlies sitting at bus stops, a talking cat named Dave. I love Dave, by the way. There are kids in Halloween costumes asking me to put eldritch slime in their parents' wine as a prank. There's a giant skeleton I just nonchalantly wandered up to, and no, they're not a baddie. I'm digging in trash cans for eyewear, I'm equipping syringes as weapons, I'm talking to random people and receiving a flask of the gods. All while riding around on my bicycle. That's your shift key when you're out and about. There were so many small, charming things. Finding a treasure map under a cat's collar, or meeting a less giant skeleton that wants me to do some good old-fashioned adventuring in his stead since he lacks the meat suit for it anymore. While I did get a taste for the fighting and the farming, I didn't get to head to the mall and see if I could do any of the tasks there, nor did I get to sleep a second time and see if I got hit with another weird wandering in the woods night sequence. I got an error, and I hadn't saved in a bit, so yeah, I had to call it there. Bugs aside, I'm pretty sold on the direction this game wants to take me, as long as I get to be BFFs with Dave.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
The Ardmore Last Shift. Never seen an option for player Foley before. Look at you using the proper vocab. I love it. The introductory voice sounds a bit stiff. Might be text-to-speech. I'm assuming text-to-speech. There's no other kinds of disclosure here. And in general, there's very few voices in the game, which is totally fine. In fact, I don't think you need voices at all for this. There's one oopsie where the text said Tuesday, but I swear the guy said Thursday.
Even Black Thursday was...
Anyway, you are the new elevator operator in a fancy hotel, New York, 1937. Your job is simple. Take guests up and down, stay polite, carry bags if needed. Never mind the ghosts moving the elevator where they want it to go. And the spirit of your predecessor eventually showing up and begging you to undo some generations-old evil pact the owners of the hotel have going. Kudos for managing to jump scare me more than once. You are very good at knowing when I definitely don't expect it. The door seems finicky at first, but only if you overthink it like I did. Otherwise, everything's pretty straightforward. I initially wondered why guests wanted to chat before I'd even closed the door. I mean, we could be talking on the way up or down, after all. But the journeys are fairly short, and the conversations are surprisingly not long per se, but detailed enough. Wait a minute, didn't Albert warn me against guests without reflections? I don't have a reflection. Of course, we have to get stopped on a random floor we don't know but looks unused. 13, perhaps. I wasn't expecting the Wargarble meme out of the shadow person. Oh, and of course, after talking with the one guy who might be our pal, Eddie, I like Eddie, nice fellow, telling us, don't go in the basement, we get forcibly dragged to the basement. Oh no, not creepy strings.wave. Run, Merrick. We gotta get away from whatever this is supposed to be in this context. After the basement adventure, you proceed to take a couple you previously met back up to their floor, and boom, demo's over. Kind of an odd place to end it, but I do appreciate that they didn't just boo haunted house us in the basement and force your guy to get got or something. Oh, and P.S. I never tried to talk to the owner, Halloran, about any of the weird things happening. Don't even know if you can. Nothing wild to write home about overall, but it's a neat idea, and the demo is pretty impressive for a 2-person team. Ghostpunk. I really liked this one. Lots of mini puzzles, lots of things to do and uncover, and your system is clearly haunted AF from moment 1. You're given paranormal cases and are expected to sift through the data and report what kind of haunting or hoax is being experienced. It could be photos, it could be audio, could even be a chat interview you conduct with a witness, and so on. What I didn't love was the timer. I get why it exists, it's not outrageously fast or anything, but I don't believe that it's necessary. The tension of, oh no, pay your rent each day by a particular time, really doesn't add anything to the game. I aced my first case, I was feeling pretty good about myself, and then I literally failed every other one in the demo. Completely. I was so far off base each time, losing rep left and right, and hurrying certainly didn't help my ability to decipher things. I completely misread most of the data I was given. The aesthetic can be a bit overstimulating at first, though it's trying to only show what's necessary, keeping things relatively clean, save for mysterious blips and glitched messages you might catch a glimpse of and start noticing that something isn't right here. The fonts aren't too wild, but please let me know in the comments if you had any difficulty with them. Dyslexia or no dyslexia, I'm curious. I think additional font choices and the ability to turn the timer off or at least pause it wouldn't go amiss here. It could be a difficulty feature. Even easy mode is the same game as normal, but no timer. Accessibility means more people can play your game. I personally want to play the full release so bad. This is a really awesome concept, but I know that if I can't take my time and actually absorb what I'm looking at, I won't be able to. The Pale Mimic. At this point, I can only assume that an unlimited frame rate magically makes all the I dare to ask for 60 FPS screen tearing go away. By the way, I really thought it had to just be an issue with my monitor, considering all the demos that have been an issue recently, but as far as I've been able to figure out, I still get tearing on other screens. Maybe it's just Marley luck. Let's actually talk about this demo now, huh? You are a fugitive in hiding. Don't worry, you're a government whistleblower, not a serial killer out in the Alaskan wilderness. You see now why I felt the need to clarify. There's not that much to the demo really. Your contact drops off some supplies, you go out hunting to supplement them, and then stare at your calendar with jaw agape for days at a time while presumably good boy Rocky shoves raw deer meat and granola bars into your mouth. You can pet Rocky and throw a ball for him, so the game's already an A+, all little gripes are forgiven. I do love that your character has actual human reactions to things. Why, yes, I am a grown man holding a gun, and I did nope the hell out of a scary situation when it presented itself. Like you should. Marley, why don't you want to drag yourself into the depths of the icy wilderness to save some guy you probably barely know? Because I care about Rocky more. And we're going back to the cabin where it's safe, aren't we, boy? I can't say that I was too tense during this sequence, but I still made a point of looking over my shoulder as we ran, just in case I saw something. All this leads up to being awoken one night to something getting into your meat storage. And gasp, are we actually telling our dog to stay inside to protect them? Good man. You're going out there with your weapon, just in case, but clearly aren't planning to puff out your chest at wild animals who could make you their dinner. It's more to just survey the possible damage. The whole time I walked up to that shed, I was like, don't end the demo here. Don't end the demo here. Don't end the demo here. And they ended it there. I feel like I want to wait and see what the general reception ends up being on the full version before I make a decision on playing it myself, but I really think that there's a good hook here. By the way, this is emotional manipulation, and I am totally here for it. Red Chat Ritual, TSUMIMI time. I do love the setup for this one. The visuals are this great mix of sparkly bubblegum pastel anime meets grimy, gritty IRL photos put through a couple filters. You're an idol otaku supporting a duo known as Cotton Candy Chainsaw. Adore the name, though more specifically, you're really into the half of the duo named Mashiro. She was your savior when life had you down and was kicking you in the ribs. And now, she's gone missing. The pitch here is for you to be doing your own little investigation off on the side, putting puzzle pieces together while working part-time to make money and watching TSUMIMI, the other half of the duo, on stream, possibly sending her things off her wish list or using what's called mega chats to get her attention or theoretically help her out in a situation. You see, very early on, TSUMIMI makes a random activity pull from a box and ends up going to an area near where Mashiro disappeared, with the stipulation that she can't leave until she solves that mystery. Obviously, things are not going to go well. Cue the bloodstains and the creepy animal sacrifices. Here's my issue with Red Chat Ritual. I don't actually feel fully engaged in the investigation. A lot of the mechanics end up feeling like fluff that's not really affecting what's going on in the story, especially when TSUMIMI goes live. Your morning is literally you clicking on one clue so you can click on another clue or go to a job, and then it's the afternoon. You've done what feels like nothing, or at least very little. You can do one more thing, and then it's stream time. Then I noticed that gifts I had sent with my hard-earned gig economy bucks weren't being used. I checked out after 4 or 5 streams, I think, so maybe they're triggered later, but There was this part where she's following these footprints in the mud, in the gunk, complaining that her cute shoes are getting ruined. I had sent her some plain rubber boots before this, specifically for a situation like this. She didn't acknowledge she had them, didn't put them on, nothing. Later, she's sticking her hand into bloody carcasses, and I'm like, I also sent you a box of gloves, girl. Did she stick her hand in there because she had the gloves to protect her, or was she just doing it anyway? It's completely unclear. TSUMIMI does acknowledge each day if she's received gifts, but it's a very general "gee, thanks" comment. Some sign that these gifts are definitely being used in the moment wouldn't go amiss. Also, the mega chats don't have nearly enough bearing on what ends up happening, and they can get pretty effing expensive. However, they're pretty infrequent, and we don't get to make any chats, and therefore express any influence that aren't paid. So you end up feeling pretty useless in a story I thought I was supposed to help shape. Now, if these things I've mentioned get tweaked or expanded upon between now and the currently listed October release date, I'd be super excited to give Red Chat Ritual another go. Dreadline Express. I know, I usually keep my categories alphabetical. Why is this one popping up now? Total honesty here, I forgot to record my voiceover for it, and I was wrapping up the On the Fence category in editing when I finally realized it was missing. Instead of possibly borking my existing project timeline by trying to shift everything around, including where music starts and stops and changes volume, I opted to just tack it on where I was. Let's talk about Dreadline Express. We are in some sort of hostile eldritch entity takeover situation, with an arguably post-apocalyptic feel around the edges, but where the timeline ended seems to be in a different period than the more modern ones we're used to. We are on the last human train, bound for nowhere. We're just running. Always running. Sometimes a tentacled beast shows up and quote-unquote sacrifices are drawn by lottery. Everyone must revere and adhere to the rules of the Supreme Engineer here. In the demo, we are chosen by them to become one of their agents on the train, though it isn't clear just yet why. The constant presence of warm tones was a visually striking one. No matter how drab the people on board might look and feel, warm candlelight illuminates them. While outside, red clouds race past on the wind, muddling the now alien surface of the earth. Now, why am I slightly less gung-ho about this one? Frankly, I was on the fence about putting it in the on the fence category, but ultimately I decided that the card system did give me just enough pause to put it here. As you explore, you unlock these cards that sit in your hand or in your album if not currently needed. You approach items or places with cards in hand to create solutions, like using a light in a dark place. You use them to engage with people in deeper or more specific conversations. Cards can be used alone or in combination with others. While a really cool idea, it does get a bit clunky putting cards away, pulling them out again, but I could see how the devs really want to give us lots of little threads we can follow if we're willing to puzzle out a situation or simply use trial and error to hit upon the right thing to do. You don't have to ask so-and-so about X or Y, but you could get additional information or even better, a whole new card out of it if you do. It has a lot of potential to do some neat things, though juggling the ever-expanding album, flipping pages back and forth to find the right cards just gets a bit unwieldy.
We probably should save the wizard, though. He does have his moments.
Divine Frequency. I don't play a lot of boomer shooters or FPS in general. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy them from time to time. This demo initially slipped under my radar when I was poking around the next best horror tag, but good old Casey Explosion had my back. Now, I assume the demo probably takes you through a full level, maybe you get to do a boss fight, but I didn't get too far. This would probably be because I insisted on taking the low vibration option, because the thought of punching everything made me very, very happy. I knew it was going to make things harder, but I actually handled the early multi-enemy encounters just fine, and it wasn't until these super fast axe-wielding jerks started coming at me from around corners at lightning speed that I finally hit an impasse. Mostly because every time I would jump and forget to block between swings. I appreciate all the accessibility options this game has, the way they phrase their brightness settings suggestions, actively more helpful than 99% of all other horror games, and being able to choose my level of VHS funsies. While I would love to play on super warbly fuzzy goodness, I know that it will give me a headache eventually, and even with a clean view, if you will, the art style is still fantastic. It doesn't take anything away from it to get rid of the filters. Look at those glorious eyeballs. I have a thing for eyeballs. If you're curious, I believe you can also go in and turn off the warped effect some areas have. This is one of those games where I assume I might not pick it up right away, then again, as a boomer shooter, the full version might have cheat codes. Maybe I can nab it, turn the damage way down, and punch away happily. Either way, I think you should give it a peek. Next Station. Visually, this game is fun. That's the number one thing I can say about it. It's one of those experiences going out of its way to seem quirky. Now that's one of those words, right? It can mean what it's supposed to mean. Usually when we say a game is quirky, we mean it's an endearing odd duck. Quirky can also be used in a parentheses derogatory way, usually implying the game is trying too hard to be one of those endearing odd ducks without the spirit or the heart. I do feel like this game has some spirit behind it, for sure, but I did unfortunately bounce off of it. After falling asleep on the train, we find ourselves in a bizarro world subway underground. soon getting yanked into an arcade, also featuring a casino. Side note, I was kinda sad I couldn't talk to the big thief. That's apropos of nothing, I was just bummed they weren't a character in this wacky setting. I couldn't always tell what my goal was, not clearly, it was always left a bit vague. I can appreciate not wanting to put a big arrow that says "Go here" on the screen, but there's so many other ways you can herd your player where you want them to go. The other trouble is how fast our sanity drains. Yeah, it's using that misplaced terminology, which is not my favorite. Even at half capacity, your vision is so screwed up, it's already hard to parse what you're seeing and navigate the space, much less when you start losing even further brightness and color saturation. By the way, I'm not sure if sensibility was picked to be quirky or if you meant for it to say sensitivity. O.B.O.L. O.B.O.L seems to be an acronym here, but I'm still gonna tell you what an O.B.O.L is in case you're not aware. The dictionary states an O.B.O.L is a silver coin or unit of weight equal to 1/6 of a drachma, formerly used in ancient Greece. O.B.O.Ls are the coins you see placed on the eyes of the dead. They're for Charon, or Charon I think is closer to how you're supposed to really say it, the ferrymen of the underworld. Okay, on to the demo. Hey, you like my signature? So this is literally a coin toss game, heads or tails, Kraken or Deadman in this case, but you get these little prophetic comments from your opponent about what to expect in the next X number of throws. You then attempt to use this information to call your coin tosses with higher rates of success. I got really far the first time and nearly beat him, and then screwed up not using my protection item when I meant to, and my run was over. Every other run I tried, I couldn't even get past round 1. Seems like there's going to be a lot of little things you can use to affect your chances, bits of information you may glean about your situation. The one thing I'm not feeling as into, if you will, was the whole corporate angle. You're asked weird questions between rounds, and apparently these coin tosses decide if you're a good fit for corporate, meaning you don't get eaten by a big fish. I don't know, I feel like I've seen so many takes on quirky evil corpo in the recent years with highly variable effectiveness in the narrative that I just didn't really see what it was bringing to the game within the confines of the demo. But, I mean, hey, it's literally heads or tails. Maybe it has no deeper meaning. Maybe it's just another oddity of your situation.
Action awesome, please.
Just do anything?
No, sorry, cut.
Anomaly Operation. I enjoy a good Anomaly game, and I opted to nab this demo because of the sci-fi flavor. Unfortunately, immediate points docked for lacking so severely in the settings while making my PC's fans work overtime. I don't get the need for the quote-unquote intro, you could just tell me the lowdown when I start a run. Then again, those text screens were a bit hard to stare at, so I basically closed out of them after absorbing no additional info because my eyes glazed over. Let's see, I would get the same anomalies multiple times in a row. I would get the same anomalies and not be able to tell what changed, and based on my exiting and restarting the level to check, I don't think anything was even wrong. And more ping. Oh no. I'll let that one go because the starting screen was in Korean, so the devs may be using English more as a second language. It's a typo, easily fixed, not a huge deal. Also, when I restarted to see if I'd run into the same repeatable anomalies, I instead discovered that the anomalies can start from essentially moment 1. Screw you for needing to know what the rooms look like first. Luckily, this was a really obvious anomaly and I didn't have to worry about that. This one also repeated. There was a part where I thought I saw movement and misclassified it as everything but what it actually was. The creature vanished right before my eyes and got me while I was sending an immediate report. Worth mentioning that every other Anomaly game that I have ever played that uses the CCTV format allows you to click between the cameras while your report is sending. Not allowed here. This one needs another pass, preferably more than one, before I could even consider playing it. Hex Shop. Your grandmother has passed away, leaving you her shop, where you provide witchy and/or occult-flavored aid to your customers. That's an alright premise. Variable frame rate, let's not. Normal textures? Do you mean medium? Okay, let's turn that film grain off right now and off we go! Oh no, not this head bob. I'm so floaty. Wait, huge props for modeling an entire house and a birdhouse? To the shop! The premise of this game actually seems kind of fun, but I admit I was not sold at all by the end. Waiting on the fertilizer for one is a tad frustrating. Feels like we should just have an herb garden, period. If you want to create some scarcity, then we use the fast-growing fertilizer to regrow something that we have used up that day. And if not, then let's do the fertilizer at the end of the day so things will be ready in the morning. I don't know. It wasn't immediately clear when my day was over, but after 3 customers makes sense. Pretty sure at least some of these voices are text-to-speech, at least they better be. Honestly, we don't need voices in a game like this. At all. It's fine. I've said it before, you don't have to have voice acting in your game. There is a night loop as well as a day loop, and that's why they bothered to model an entire house. Don't particularly care for the fact that deliveries must be carried 1 item at a time to their designated area. You don't have any kind of inventory. The rhythm to the day-to-day just isn't there yet. It feels way too slow. You spend most of your time twiddling your thumbs waiting for stuff to happen. Demon! I'm sorry, I just lose my $100 item if I misidentify the demon. Pardon? Oh, and now I can't go to bed. Did I miss a candle? Is it stuck saving? Alright, bye! I do think there's a base here that can be built upon, but I don't think it's anywhere near ready, even just as a demo. While we're wrapping up this section, let me bring something back up. Yes, my little fireside chat at the beginning of this video was a response to the amount of slop in this next fest. However, it was also because while I was working on this script, I had to delete a game I'd already played. When I downloaded and played that demo, there was no AI disclosure, but when I went back to save the game's banner and nab their link, it had added a disclosure. There wasn't anything in that very simple but effective game that screamed, "Oh yeah, a bot wrote this," because there was barely any text. There weren't any voices. There weren't any off-putting art assets. So what the hell did they even need to use Gen AI for? I'm not putting on blast because it's possible it was an ESL thing where the Gen AI was used for translating menus and such. Doesn't excuse it, but I'm gonna give them a break this one time. And there you have it, 15 horror demos from the latest Next Fest event on Steam. Comment below if there were any on my list that you missed. I love hearing about that. Or let me know what I missed that you think I would enjoy. Your eyeballs and earballs are super appreciated, especially as I get this new scripted channel off the ground. Give the video a like if you liked it, share it with a friend, and drop a subscribe if you're interested in future horror essays and indie horror review compilations like this one. You can find me on Blue Sky, and my gaming channel is here. Thank you again, and as the great Isaac Clarke once said,
Stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.